Alrighty, I believe we are live. It's just slightly delayed. My internet is seemingly horrible. Can you guys hear me? I'll just confirm that in here. Can you guys? Alrighty, so we've got about, how many do I have here? About 11, 15 here. I think it's slightly delayed, but oh, I'm gonna get rid of the sound on myself. But anyways, thank you everyone for making the time for coming. If it is really blurry and laggy, let me know. I've just moved into a new house after traveling away, and the Wi-Fi that comes to my room, yes, Kalia, I think I remember you in the 2023 Oz CryptoCon. If you remember, we met for the first time there, you and your husband, and you guys actually showed me your YouTube channel. I actually watched your videos. That was one of the first things you guys showed me. But look where we are now, 2 years later. Incredible how time flies. But thank you for coming, everyone. Let me know in the chat if it's really blurry, my screen. I've got the YouTube channel up now. But I will get up, obviously, this page here. Dismiss, um, and we can begin to run through things. Uh, okay, well, maybe if you can hear me fine. I'm sorry about the quality. Open widget, issues not, yeah, I'm not too sure what's going on here, but in any case, yes, blurry. Okay, that's going to be a bit annoying. Hopefully that fixes. I think it's oh, here we go. Why is it 240p? I don't know if that changing. Maybe let me know if that's better. That should be a lot better. But um, anyways, we'll get things kick-started because this has nothing to do with me showing you guys anything or me talking. It's about you guys asking any form of questions. I've now realized. Okay, so it's glitchy when we're not on this. Okay. But I've realized this is probably not the most optimal way to do it, as there is a bit of a lag. There is so on and so forth. So I think the next time that we get into things, uh, I think the next time that we do this, we all jump on a Zoom call. And what I do is, because given there won't be too many of us, and we can do one next week or the week after, or whenever suitable, if this one goes horribly, but we'll do them more regularly anyway, because we have new members joining all the time. But I think we all jump on a Zoom call, and then obviously people can just ask me questions directly with their own voice. I can just, everyone's muted, and if you want to ask a question, you unmute yourself, and you ask. If you guys think that's a good idea and we should do that, then we'll go for that instead the next time. But we'll have to run with this now. So via the chat, fire away. Begin asking any questions at all, whether it's about the service, whether it's about the outlook, whether it's about current price action, whether it's about how to use the Discord. I'm sure as new members you have many different questions. Um, yeah, okay. So maybe if we just go to Imperial Wealth, I'll just sit on that and I'll actually get the chat up on my phone. So as I said, I moved house. I've only got one screen here as well, which is really annoying. Just my laptop here. My laptop is here. I might grab that quickly and I'll get the chat up on that screen and we'll just sit on the Imperial Wealth website. But yeah, does anyone, whilst we're getting started, have a question? Let's get started. So start firing away the questions. Don't be too nervous to ask the first. It's the whole point we're here, so everyone's talking, but no questions are coming through. So um, let's get started on that. I'm just getting the chat up on my. Alrighty, no questions yet. I will wait to see if we do get one. Yeah, Zoom call is a much better idea. I think I'll set that up next time, Moose, and we'll do that next time. This format seems oh shit, exit. Uh, Alrighty, we've got some questions coming through, which is great. Um, So James, have you read through my research report? And how do I justify still being? I'll actually start from start. Sorry. So I'd like to understand the function of stable coins. I've just started the DeFi course. I'm preparing to make sure I exit correctly. So the functionality of stable coins is essentially, obviously, just an enacted blockchain cryptocurrency that allows you to essentially transfer in and out values of crypto into fiat currency. So as you probably know, Bella, that there are USD stablecoins, which are obviously the most used. You will know about USDC and USDT being the two biggest ones. As we've discussed in the Trading Academy chats recently, Lenny, sorry, I was just reading out your YouTube channel name, my bad. Um, yeah, so stablecoins are literally just a function of fiat. Essentially, you've got a cryptocurrency that's able to be transferable on blockchains in and out of different decentralized finance applications, which once you get into the DeFi course, you'll have a much thorough understanding of doing that. So I definitely think get that started, get that underway, um, and begin your course there, and I'll definitely make a lot more sense to you from there. But really, that's the easiest way to describe them. They're just a functionable fiat cryptocurrency, mainly USD, and that's what we, as you said, sell out into, or that we might use to buy different cryptocurrencies as well. You can then liquidity pool them and use them to yield farm. You can stablecoin. You can earn yield. You can earn interest on in different decentralized finance protocols that you'll learn soon. But yeah, that's really the main functionality of them. Question: how can we know when the whales sell as an indicator to sell our shares? I assume shares would mean cryptocurrency. Moose. I think you've said that before in the Trading and Cat channel, but um, there are several indicators that you can use via, I think Glassnode is one of them. So let's try and get this up now. Glassnode, and I'll show you. My internet is just absolutely horrible trying to run this. So I'm hoping that we can look at this. But in any case, Moose, if that doesn't load, my internet is absolutely horrible. I apologize. But there are different on-chain websites and different applications, Moose, that you can use. I don't really use that uh, as a metric, if I'm honest. Yeah, it's okay to do it, but it's kind of obvious to me when whales are selling via price action. You don't really need to know when whales are selling to sell out. But I understand your question. But yeah, to answer it, it's via on-chain, different websites you can use to get insights into digital asset. Glassnode is a really good one. So there's different insights and different studio products you can use on Glassnode, and there's other websites I can send through to you on chat that can run through that type of thing. So the question is, how do I justify still being bullish on Phantom? If you'd actually read my updates and you've read what I've said throughout Discord many times, I did an entire research report actually answering this exact question. I'm not sure, James, if you've read that. Oh, yeah, you have. But mostly talking about the technology being implemented, but if no one uses it, what's the point? That wasn't actually the point of my recent research report. A lot of it was actually disgusted at how they've gone about things, how most of it, especially the first part of it, was about how they failed to actually bring together a community. They failed to launch it. They failed with the airdrop. They failed with strategy. I actually never said any of this was bullish. I actually spoke about how their potential pivot to institutional adoptions through the Genius Act, through their technology being the best, and adoption of stablecoins is really the only catalyst that they have going for them. We've got a governance vote in coming weeks on that institutional involvement. I saw Ram Crypto, whatever that guy explained on his YouTube. I saw heaps of clips of it today. He reckons that they're raising $1 billion for Flying Tulip, Andre's new primitive. None of his primitives have been released, so I guess that's the only way I can remain bullish on it. But if you've read the detail, I actually said that if you're not bullish on it, you can go ahead and sell it. You don't have to be bullish on Phantom, or I don't have to be for you to hold on to it or for you to keep buying it. I simply stated that I'm not selling it at its historical bottom, which it's maintained at this 30 cents level for about a month now. And I said because it's unlikely to go too much lower. So I don't really see the point at selling at a 25% loss when it's at the bottom now. As me and Cap and other people had conversations about in the Discord, waiting to just see what happens in the next few months, and then I'll happily move on from it. But yeah, I'm not trying to justify to anyone about them having to be bullish on Sonic or anything. It's completely up to you, and I'm at the moment uh, not too bullish anyway, but I'm looking to see if these upcoming catalysts do come to fruition. If they don't, then we don't. We move on. I think it's important. It seems like you're very tied into Sonic and Equalizer. Um, this is why diversification is important. My feelings aren't really too hurt if Sonic doesn't perform well because, I bought Hyperliquid at $9 in April. Like I bought other things that have gone up much more. Solana, Ethereum. We had Ethereum at $1,300 a few months ago, and we've got an average by about 1,933 units on that, and it's doubled in price in the time that Sonics remained the same. So, yeah, you really need to be kind of diversified there and not too honed in on the one. And yeah, so that's just to answer Sonic. So we'll move on from that now. How does one sell out effectively? I heard of dollar cost average selling. So Mark, I would like you to read. I know you've probably done the onboarding, Mark. I assume you have. Um, I assume you've done the onboarding, and if so, you might have skipped over the research reports that go into heavy detail about how to sell out. So I'm going to show you that here. In 1 second, actually, it might be. Let's just hope my internet allows us to get into the Imperial Wealth platform. Actually, we're here. So if you go to research reports, Mark, I hope you can see the screen now. Really need to get some Ethernet and some new internet at this house. I apologize. I'll have that set up for our next Q&A. Research. Oh, lordy. Anyways, if you go to here, Mark, and as per the onboarding, there's very clear instructions on how to dollar cost average both into buying and selling. But there's a number, so the process of profit taking. So I've got a whole research report for you here that goes through, what type of risk you are, what type of portfolio you have, regular portfolio review, strategies in detail, so how you can sell at different gains. I really, give you as many examples and as many scale out strategies as you want, and there might be one that really aligns with you, that you go, okay, that really suits my capital needs and my risk tolerance profile. So I'm going to use that. So I explain how you can do it with technical analysis. I can tell you how you can do it at different numbers, periodically. So really go and check out the research reports per the onboarding and ensure you read those because they're insanely useful, but they actually help you navigate this service and your journey of cryptocurrency much easier. So we'll move on to the next. Lenny, Carl, this is just about the trading academy. I don't do anything with the mining side. You can message Taylor or Cal that question. Peter Page, g'day Peter, how you doing? Main part of the pool. Which alts do you think have 5 times potential from here? Would you be buying ETH? Look, there's a reason why I was buying Ethereum. Um, I'm sorry, I was just reading more questions. Yeah, I was buying Ethereum at $800, $1,300, $1,500, $1,700, $1,900. Even in August of last year when we had that crash, I bought another 22 units at $2,200. I've just been hodling that as our largest allocation of our portfolio since then. I probably can't, and it obviously depends, Peter, on your risk profile, right? So the way that I describe F to other people is it should be the largest, and it makes sense alongside kind of blue chips like I would say maybe Hyperliquid, Bitcoin, and Solana. The way you should see those ones are that you'd be happy to hold them into drawdowns or throughout bear markets because over time, right, they should be just larger from cycle to cycle. Whereas other ones you'd like to get out of and sell and accumulate more Bitcoin, hype, Link, uh, Ethereum, and so on and so forth. I think if you have the outlook that this is just the Bitcoin and Ethereum only cycle, and Ethereum will continue to outperform. And look, we've seen that the last few weeks, haven't we? That Ethereum's just gone up and it actually hasn't carried altcoins with it. Sorry. So the question of whether you should buy it now is really based on your own outlook. I'm not buying any more at the moment. I chose to buy other things such as Link recently. Obviously, Pepe and Ondo haven't gone too well. Like with the rest of the market, Link's gone beautifully. But Link's been the top performer out of the top 100 or so since we bought it, so that's been pretty lucky. But in terms of which alts I think can 5 times potential from here, I don't really have a straight answer for you, and it's a bit too illegal for me to kind of just tell you which 5 alts or 5 extra from here. I don't know. I don't have that crystal ball. But if you were to ask me which ones am I most bullish on, it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Hyperliquid, Chainlink, and probably Solana. Those are my 5 strongest, I would say, off the top of my head right now. Whereas, just to answer James's question quickly about the largest allocation of portfolio, Sonic used to be my most bullish. Things obviously changed, James. I hope you understand that. So, for instance, when we were investing in Phantom at 17 cents, at 22 cents, we saw it run up to $1.50 at the end of last year. So, if it was at that price, that it was before it even migrated to an entire better technology, before Bitcoin even reached over $100,000, before, it was, the last time Ethereum was $4,000, Phantom was $1.50. It was of an inferior technology, it had inferior partnerships, it had inferior investors. It's just the way things go, James. So, yeah, unfortunately, even with greater catalysts now, such as a Coinbase listing, potential institutional adoption, everything's just gone sour wrong for it. I can't really explain it other than that. I don't control price myself. I don't control the catalyst. It's just been one of those unfortunate ones, really, and I'm just holding now because this is at the bottom. I do think it can turn, but I'm not too ultimately bullish on it like I used to be, obviously, when I invested those amounts of units back in the day, which at the time were a right call when we saw $1.50, but unfortunately we didn't sell. I was much more bullish on the prospects of Sonic, and I got it wrong. I get things wrong. I'm only human. So that's that. Should newcomers buy Sonic? I was planning on buying everything that was on the investment page. Jason, for sure. But my recommendation to you and to everyone is that you should read through all the projects yourself. One of the great things you could do is read my recent research report on it, where I'm quite bearish on it, on things that have happened, but I explained why I'm still remaining optimistic on it. Due to X, Y, and Z, and really you should make your decision from there. I know at the moment you would be someone that's probably inexperienced or you don't know too much. Sonic might be one you can leave out, but I actually do recommend now from here on out that when you join, you should get a little bit of everything, because, sorry, most people are joining and they might get 3 or 4. So they might get, let's just call it Pepe. Let's just think of some underperformers. So you might join now and you might just go, okay, I'm just going to buy Ethereum, which is great. Make that your biggest allocation. You might buy a little bit of Sonic, a little bit of Pepe, and a little bit of Hayanon, and a little bit of Tau, right? And the reason you bought those is because you go, well, they're the 5 that haven't ran the most. And then what happens is when ETH breaks above 5k and Chainlink's running the hardest, and Solana's running the hardest, and Hyperliquid's running the hardest, you're sitting there going, bloody hell, I'm not exposed to these. I'm exposed to the underperformers, and they're still underperforming. People fall into the trap of wanting to only buy the underperformers because they think they're going to perform better because they haven't done as many X's as the other ones. It's not the truth all the time. In this type of bull market, you want to be with the outperformers. You want to be with the high conviction outperformers that you know are going to do well. When we know things are super bullish, we know Solana's going to do well. We know that Chainlink's going to do well. We know that Hyperliquid's going to do well. So I believe you should have exposure to all of them. And even your own coins, make sure that you have exposure to your own coins. There might be coins that I don't own, I don't have in my high conviction list, such as Sui, like Peter asked before. That's been it's been one of the better coins this cycle. I opted to go with Sonic over Sui, and that was a mistake. That was something that I got wrong. So Yeah, my recommendation is to get a little bit, because as I say, if you read my accumulations and dollar cost averaging zones, I always say that you should be getting an entry because an entry is better than nothing in a bull market. Get an entry into everything if you want to, that's up to you. And then from there, you can dollar cost average and accumulate more via the strategies that we teach. Um, should Newcomers buy Sunny? I know we've already gone on that. Can you please explain units for me? Sure. Nat, did you do your onboarding? Well, in any case, Nat, once again, as I said before, as you learn in your onboarding, it's really, really important that you do these. Everyone seems to join the service, and I'm not trying to be rude here or anything, and they just go, it says to you, it's really important that you read the research, and I'm not singling you out here, and I'm not saying you haven't, but a lot of people do this, and they just don't read the research reports, and then they'll come and they'll ask, well, how do I invest using unit sizing? Well, I have an entire research report here on it. It uses examples, it teaches you exactly how to do it, what it means, so on and so forth. But really, Nat, to answer your question, units, so let's just say I have 150 units that I've invested and you want to copy me, you don't have to copy me, but let's just say I have 100 units. There's 100 units that you want to invest, and you say you have $10,000 that you're investing into the market. Every unit, so then you divide $10,000 by 100, and so $10,000 by 100, and what would every unit be worth? It would be worth $100, right? Because $10,000, so it's $100 per unit. So let's just say you want to put the exact same amount of me into F. I think I had 33 units into F. And so you'll then put $3,300 in total into F, but you might start off by getting your entry by putting 10 units. So you put $1,000 in. And you might decide periodically, okay, every week from here on out to average out my buy in case we get huge dips. Or you might decide based off my technical analysis, okay, I'm going to drip feed 2 units every week, or 5 units every week now from here on out until I have a full allocation of 33 units. You do that for anything. It's just really a way that we took from betting. That's just easy to kind of outlay confidence and different ways to dollar cost average and accumulate. Hopefully that makes sense, Nat. I can go over it with you individually if you like, but once again, there's a whole research report on it here too. Hopefully my explanation then just made sense. Peter, out of Sui and Sol, which would you be buying? I both think they've had, they're the two best performers of this run, Peter, so it's very hard just to say which one to pick out of the other. I can't give that answer to you. I personally don't have a huge opinion on Sui. It's very VC dominated. It's got great marketing and it's got actually pretty good tech itself. But I'm just a Sol man. But I think both will do very well from here if we do get that alt season, Peter. So I don't think there's a right or wrong answer there. The ratio of market cap is massively. Sure, it can be Moose. Fine one. Yeah, that can be right. You see that all the time, Moose, on particularly low cap volume projects. I would just say these are very specific questions that are to do with analysis. I don't use that type of analysis. But you can feel free to use whatever you want to price things. But usually that is a good sign about a project. If its volume is exceeding its market cap, well, there's a lot of hype around it, and it's best you look into it and research it, right? How does this strategy make you money in a bear market? Do you sell out on swing highs, for example? How does this strategy make you money in a bear market? What strategy are you referring to, Natalie? Are you talking about unit sizing, or are you talking about dollar cost averaging? Just clarify that one for me there. No worries, Jason. F this has Moose, once again, the dollar cost averaging and accumulation ranges are based on, you need to remember, this is my portfolio you are looking at. So when I say if it was to go to 900 to 2200, why would I do that? Because that is the prices of every prices that I have bought into for the entire cycle. I bought it $900, I bought it $1,100, I bought it 13, I bought it 15, I bought it 17, I bought it 19. And if you've read my comments, it's really important that you don't just look at the zone, you actually go and read my commentary on it. And my commentary on it was that if we were to go back to those prices, then I would be investing. But you, in a bull market, did you just listen to what I said about getting an entry is better than any entry? You need to be taking some intuition. I can't buy things for you. I can't do certain things for you. You need to take your own intuition. If you really, we've always recommended that Ethereum be the largest part of most people's portfolios, and the reason is for the reasons that are happening now. Same as Bitcoin, but this is an altcoin service, so Ethereum's always going to be our biggest one. Um, so yeah, when you say despite it was not suggested to DCA into that it was. I did make comments saying I make comments on all of those altcoins that if you need to buy them, if you think that you're at the right valuations to buy, you should be buying them. But I can't explicitly or legally tell you to buy things, Moose. I can only tell you what I'm dollar cost averaging into, what I would be accumulating. And that's you're free to follow my actions, or you're free to take some intuition and buy high valuations because you've got a completely different situation to me, Moose. I was buying Ethereum at the bottom in September of 2022. I was buying it in August of last year. You weren't here. You've only been here for a couple of weeks, so of course your situation has to be different. LTC, Natalie, we spoke about that. Oh no, she deleted the LTC comment. Driving home, listening. It's a question. If I take some BTC profits, would you reckon putting them into alts pre-season, hopefully, or stable coins for yield? Alex, that's really up to you. I personally don't sell Bitcoin, and I know some people, obviously, if they need the capital and they need to liquidate some capital to then spare up some cash to invest in altcoins, that Bitcoin would be the most likely case. But I would actually, and I'm not advising you here, this is just how I think. I think that it's the most important one to not liquidate and get rid of. You're really throwing out the risk based on the context of this cycle. What has this cycle been this entire time? What has been the best performing asset? Obviously bar a couple of one altcoins, but across the drawing board, what has been the best performing asset this cycle? Bitcoin. So your risk there is you're saying, well, I'm going to sell the one asset that is supported by nation-state governments, by the biggest hedge funds and corporate treasuries in the entire globe, that the President of the United States is buying billions of, that could have a strategic national reserve. That's iffy. I don't believe in that anymore. But so on and so forth. So you're really running the risk of getting selling the most powerful, most legitimate, the best performing crypto this cycle in risk of chasing altcoins. So to answer you, I wouldn't do that personally. You can utilize, and Alex, I'm pretty sure you're part of DeFi. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you probably won't be able to apply if you're driving. I hope you're driving safe. But you can utilize DeFi and Curve and many other decentralized finance protocols to earn yield without getting rid of it. You can be pairing it with certain things, so on and so forth. So yeah, thoughts on Woo? Thinking that's okay, Natalie. No worries, Kai. Glad about Dad. Yeah, sorry, Moose. I'm not trying to be an arsehole or anything when I'm answering you. It's just legitimately what the case is. You know what I mean? So this service, as a reminder to you, Moose, it's the buying and selling aspect, the accumulation and dollar cost averaging aspect of it is what I am doing. So whenever I am accumulating something or I am selling something, like I'm selling Sol for Chainlink that I did last week or the week before, that is my decision, but it has nothing to do with what you do. As I even said in the Solana post, I said if you have bought Solana at high valuations, such as yourself, Moose, that you might have done, then it makes no sense to sell it. I bought it at $20. I was buying it at $25. I've made over 600% on Solana this cycle, and so it made sense for me to de-risk on some of that to free up capital. So I had 71 units, I think, running exposure at $175. So I even had a message today from a client that said, well, why did you sell all your Sol? I said, I didn't. I sold less than 30% of my Sol holdings. I sold 20 units of profit out of 71 units of profit in total. So I still had 51 units in total of exposure sitting on Sol, and I just used some of that to rotate into Chainlink. And ever since Chainlink has been the number one performer in the top 100, Chainlink is at $23, $24 now from 19. I think Solana's back around 175, 180. So far it's been an okay decision, and it might not end up being the right decision, but it was just personally what I was doing. So once again, you need to take that intuition of where your own capital sits, what you've invested into yourself, your risk profile, and go from there. So it might be that you say, well, I just bought Solana, there's no point in me selling it, right? But I might read Mitch's rationale as to why he's doing that. Okay, Chainlink now has its own strategic reserve. It now actually has value accruing back to the token, which it once never had. Okay, I understand why he's doing it, I might do it. Or I might disagree, you might disagree with me. So it's very sticky for me. Yeah, as I said, I'm not going to just tell people to buy Ethereum at $4,000. I always say get an entry in whatever you like, dollar cost average from there. And there's always opportunities in the market. It might look like it now moves to, it's like, oh damn, well, Ethereum's run to 4,200. It might be at 3,200 next week. You actually never know. So you need to be prepared for that. As anyone will tell you that's been here for the majority of the cycle, which I don't think are in here because it's just newcomers, they'll tell you, you'll be shocked at the opportunities that have arisen when you thought they've ran away from you. Bitcoin was once 73,000 and within a few weeks, a few months, it was back to 48,000. Ethereum has been $4,000 three times, Moose, this cycle, and retraced all the way back to 1,500. Three times. I'm not saying that's going to happen the fourth time. I hope it doesn't because we finally broke 4,000. You can go back and look at it. Literally in December of last year, it was $4,000. By April, it was 1,300. That's 3 to 4 months it took to retrace, 60 to 70%. So that might happen again, it might not, but yeah. Question for small cap, e.g. GLC. What market cap indicates there may be liquidity issues when selling? So you can actually just look at the liquidity and the spread, Moose. So, like if I get up a coin, just a DEX screener, I'll just show you an example, but it'll always tell you, and you can look at this on CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, those different things, but it'll always tell you the amount of liquidity and spread. So if small market cap, so I can't believe how slow my internet is. So I'll get up any random small cap, but if you're talking about very, very small caps, that are in the millions and the hundreds of thousands, you'll find it on DEX Screener. Sorry, it's insane how slow my internet is with this. After 21 year bitches, we'll just keep this up, maybe hold off for later. Jason, completely up to you. It's how you actually view BTC as an investment vehicle. So once again, like when Alex asked me before, would I sell Bitcoin? Well, my belief system in Bitcoin it might completely differentiate from yours. I might just be buying Bitcoin and dollar cost averaging into it because I want to hold it forever. It's my hedge against inflation. It's my hedge against fiat currency. So on and so forth. But you might just be in it because you think it's a good investment for the next year and you want to cash out and buy a house. Do you understand what I mean? So my viewpoint is that if you have the belief system that you want to escape inflationary hedging or you want to use it as an inflationary hedge, you want to escape fiat currency, you want to escape government control and centralization, all the reasons that Bitcoin has become a bullish asset, then I believe buying it at any price is a good price because it's like I used this example in the Discord a while ago, and it was someone that asked me, is it okay to buy Bitcoin and app? And I showed them every single prior cycle. So it's almost like asking like this right now. So in the scheme of things, if you ignore my silly parallel channel drawing, but let's see if I can even load. So it's like saying this, right? And I hope you guys can see this on the live stream. Buying Ath's explanation, I still have it here. So I still have this explanation I showed someone else, Jace. So, and I asked at 111,000. But so once upon a time at 1240, someone would have asked themselves or asked their analysts, like, should I be buying Bitcoin here? And should I keep dollar cost averaging into it? And they would have wrote it down here and it would have hurt. And then by, 2 years later, 4 years later, it was 20x the price. And then they would have asked the same thing here. And then they would have thought, people would have come and thought, way too expensive Bitcoin at $19,000. And then 4 years later, it was at $69,000. And then we had the whole last cycle that we've been involved in now. And it was way too expensive here before it was double the price at here. So to answer your question, if you believe that it's logarithmic value and Bitcoin is going to keep going up forever because of its value propositions, then I don't think there's a bad price to ever buy Bitcoin at. Unless you're obviously just being strategic with it and you want to use it as an investment as opposed to, so on and so forth. So hopefully that answers your question, Jason. Let me know if you need a better explanation than that or clarification, but I hope that kind of visualization and explanation made sense. Yes, I do, Natalie. I do short the bear market. But that is what our other services are for, Natalie. So in this service, I'll get you to watch our workshop from a couple of weeks ago. Hopefully you'll read a few more research reports and your mind shapes around the onboarding a bit more, Natalie. But we have actually other services outside of the Trading Academy. We have DeFi, and then the other main service that I run that a lot of trading, well, not a lot of Trading Academy members are part of, but a fair few are a part of, is my advanced trading course, which teaches you how to trade perpetual futures, both long and short. So when we get to the bear market, particularly on a lot of these altcoins that have inflationary tokenomics, they have large unlocks, and they're going to draw down 90 to 99% as they always do, I'll be looking to short a lot of those coins. So yeah, I will personally be looking to do that, but I won't be doing that per se in the trading account. I might actually expose you guys to a few of those when the time is right. But a lot of people in here don't know how to short. They don't know how to use perpetual futures. They don't know how to utilize risk management. So really, that responsibility is a big one, and I don't want people losing their money trying to short and getting liquidated and randomly losing money. Okay, cool, Natalie, no worries. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense to you. I will be personally. And those that probably know how to use perpetual futures and risk management will be, but definitely not something I recommend for everyone. But as I said, you're doing DeFi already, you're getting a miner, so you'll learn heaps of different strategies that you can do in between the noise, whether that be in a bull or bear market, to earn cash. And one of those ones in DeFi is yield farming, is utilizing your stables that you'll sell your long-term investments into. And you'll find out heaps of ways you can earn money on the way down. Um, what was your question on FetCar? I'm not too sure what your question means there, Carl. Sorry. Nothing will really happen to the price. Um, that just means that it'll have its full supply out, Carl, which is actually a good thing. It means no more token unlocks, so VCs or early investors that are getting these tokens distributed to them won't sell. So price should generally, when the total supply equals the circulating supply, be a bit more stable. Moose, because I don't have high conviction in coins that are less than $10 million in market cap. Hopefully that was straightforward, makes sense. We do have one, Moose, my deck screener loaded. So, Moose, if you've got a coin here, let's say we'll use one of ours, right? So this is one, we do have a $30 million market cap one, Moose. But really, to explain to you, once again, Moose, I'm unsure if you've read the research reports. I hope you did read them because you've been quite active. One I would recommend that you read is my research report on why I only do high conviction tokens now. And it's really the current state of the Bitcoin cycle and the current state of the altcoin market. I spoke in this article, and the reason why you probably ask that is because you probably think this cycle is like the last cycle, or things you've read online or you see on social media. It says you can just buy into all these tokens that are less than 10 million, you make million. It's not the truth. No one wins on those type of tokens. Hardly anyone does. You've got to be in the right investing environment to do that. If you've read about how the cycle works from Bitcoin to Ethereum to altcoins, then to microcaps, we're not even at the altcoin stage, so there's no point in me investing in microcaps right now. When they're not favorable over tokens like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, Solana, Hyperliquid, so on and so forth. But given the issue of fragmentation, dilution, I really think you should go read this, Moose, this research article, and it talks about why it's really negative to invest and diversify way too much and spread yourself thin on a heap of illiquid tokens. Um, but this talks about that fragmentation and dilution and why I focus on just high conviction ones with high market caps for now. But Moose, in saying that doesn't mean that later in the cycle we won't be investing into those with profits we make or when the euphoria is at a peak. But right now, as you know, it's very, very hard to pick high conviction tokens that are less than $10 million in market cap that I've got a great confidence in sharing with you guys. I prefer to just perpetual futures trade amongst the noise on to make money on those type of things. But here we'll look at a non. This is a high conviction holding of mine that's done terribly. Sorry to those that have invested. Hopefully AI and a non does do a bit better. Hopefully this loads soon. But what's the time here? 7:43. We'll wrap it up pretty soon, guys. So I'll let you guys go have dinner, enjoy your families, and enjoy your nights. I don't think too many questions are coming through. Unbelievable how slow my internet is. But as I said, the next time, hopefully the questions have been asked have been answered fluently and properly. I will wait another few more minutes if anyone's got some last minute questions. But as I said, I think next time, I'll have better internet. I'll have a better setup. Sorry about this. We'll get on a Zoom call, and rather than you guys typing out questions, you can ask them directly to me audibly. So here you are, Moose. You can see the liquidity that it holds on this exchange here, on this network. So on WAGMI, which is a decentralized exchange, multi-facet, multi-chain exchange, a DEX that could be on Sonic. You can use Solana on it. You can use Base, so on and so forth. But on the Sonic network, there's $266,000 in liquidity sitting on that exchange. So that's how you can see, if you've got, for instance, if this is just an example, but if you had $500,000 of a non and you went to WAGMI and you went to sell it, right, you'd get insane slippage and it wouldn't really work. It would have to go through multiple other exchanges and you'd probably lose a lot of money because there's only $266,000 in liquidity there. I will try and show you quickly something else. Yeah, Moose, I've already explained that to you in the Discord when you asked the first time. And I also just explained it then with the research report. So as I told you then when you asked the first time, we had a change in strategy. We wanted to just focus on only high conviction investments and not spreading ourselves too thin. This was due to fragmentation and dilution. We never knew that this cycle would be like that and it would be a Bitcoin only cycle. We had to change our strategy, and as a result, really got rid of the rest of those tokens and only got our current clientele to just focus on high convictions. So as I've tried to tell you before, please don't focus on those and keep looking at those. I'm not sure why they keep getting revisited because as I've told you, please just focus on the high convictions. I haven't spoken about those tokens or I haven't had anything to do with them, particularly with new clients like yourself, in a long time. So if you could please just read the research report that I just mentioned about why we're not spreading ourselves too thin on other investments anymore and only focusing on high convictions. And the reasons you read in that research report will give you a very good understanding as to why. Yeah. Any more questions? Moose, you got any more? Natalie, Dan, Alex, if you're still there. Kai, Carl, Mark, Peter, if you're still there. Lenny, Kalia. I think Kalia just came to listen. She just likes being here. Feel free to ask any more, but as I said, next time this will be run a lot smoother. We'll get on Zoom. They were pretty service-based questions, I must admit. No one had really any questions about current price action, the outlook and stuff, which is completely fine. Maybe we'll go through a bit more of that stuff when there's a bit more price action developing. But if you want my general thoughts right now, I think things look fine despite the pullback. There's three different scenarios that we obviously have, which is running really hard into the rate cut, which is what we're doing. But obviously we went for ATHs on Bitcoin and Ethereum both simultaneously and failed spectacularly. Despite making them on Bitcoin, it was a huge fake out as we got into PPI data, which seriously heated up and was a huge contradiction to our CPI data. This didn't really alter things. As I showed in the market update, if you had a chance to read this, we still have very, very high chances of rate cuts still occurring in both September, October, and November. The September one's the huge one. What it's looking more likely to me now is that because we've only got a month until that. That's on September 20th, I believe, US time. So it's literally a month away. essentially only a month away, so it's more likely that we chop into that. And maybe Ethereum continues to grind upwards with this obviously huge corporate treasury marginal buyer that consistently demands it almost every, like Sharplink bought another 700 or 666 million today or something. Who knows? Obviously I showed today in the fundamental update that Michael Saylor and Strategy are changing their ability to sell shares, and despite the MNAV being below 2.5. So really, we could see these continue to chop or grind into that. And then we may get a huge run thereafter once the rate cut is confirmed. What I was worried about, not worried about, but what one of my outlooks was that we would, if Ethereum and Bitcoin broke all-time highs last week, and let's just say Bitcoin's at 135,000 right now and Ethereum's 5,000, that they would keep going into the rate cut, and that would be their top, and that would be, to sell the news, because they've run so hard. Everyone's front-run the rate cut, buying it all up. They're not just going to continue buying, when they knew there was going to be a 100% rate cut. Oh, it's okay. And then that's when I would have saw a massive pullback in the market, and then a liquidity thrust due to M2 and so on and so forth thereafter. Look, Carl, what was the name of the research report? It's the current state of the altcoin cycle, Moose. This one here. So it is quite old, not quite old, well, it's 8 months old, but not too much has changed. I discussed how it's the Bitcoin cycle, the relationship between Bitcoin and altcoins, the issue of fragmentation and dilution, the oversaturation, why this has destroyed the altcoin market, spreading yourself too thin on microcaps and the stuff you're asking, why concentrated positions on high conviction tokens are so important. So yeah, it's called the current state of the altcoin market. So go and check that one out, Moosey. No worries, Natalie. No worries, Lenny. No worries, Dan. Good on you, Kalia. Alrighty. It's up to you, Carl. I know you keep asking direct questions. I can't answer those questions for you. It's completely up to you what you want to swap or what you want to sell and what you want to buy. As I told you last week when you asked, I sold a little bit of my Solana profits for Chainlink. So if you have spare capital or you have other underperforming alts, I think you should go read why I'm so bullish on Chainlink. And I'm going to release a report on Chainlink tomorrow for all of you guys as an FYI. That token update will be released tomorrow. So maybe you can read that and then we'll go from there. No worries, Moose. Thanks for coming and spending your time here. Yeah, exactly, Natalie. You want to just ensure that you're only cornered in a couple of ones that you have true conviction and true belief in, because as Moose, kind of asked, and as I tried to infer earlier in the cycle, to briefly explain to those that don't understand, is that Bitcoin used to be the lifeboat for all altcoins because we only had a selection of 500, 1,000. Maybe last cycle there was maximum 20,000. When you go and read that research report, you'll actually understand that hundreds of thousands and millions of tokens in this industry are created every day now due to the ease of launch pads and your ability to launch your own. So one of the main reasons why Solana was the main outperformer of this cycle is because it had its #1 application. I spoke about this in my sale of Solana and my recent Solana update, if you had a chance to read the research behind my thesis there. And it was the underperformance now of Pump Fund. But the reason why it ran so hard was the overperformance of Pump Fund. And Pump Fund is a launch pad where anyone can go and launch their own token and their own meme. And essentially this killed the entire market. Whilst it was great for our Solana investment and great for those that were with Solana, it wasn't good for anything else. It created way too much fragmentation dilution. Everyone that was invested into this market just lost all their money on meme coins because, yeah, you might have read the story about the one person that invested in this and they made $1 million. For every $1 million made, there was 100 million lost from everyone else getting rugged, gambling on these meme coins, gambling on these launch pads, so on and so forth. So yeah, you can get absolutely carried away with this. So it's never been more important due to that fragmentation and dilution of the market. Sorry, well, going back to what I was saying, back in 2017 cycle, even the last cycle, you could just buy any altcoin. You could buy Litecoin, you could buy Phantom, you could buy, you could buy Link, you could spread yourself thin across as many as you wanted, and you made money on every single token you bought. Obviously, when we got into this cycle, Moose, that's why you saw us buy so many. at the start or throughout the earlier stages of the cycle, because we had no idea that it was going to be completely different. We obviously just based on historical performances, what price cycles have been like, we're buying lots of micro caps, so on and so forth. But as I explained to you, Moose, this is why the strategy completely changed, and we went to high conviction, high market cap tokens only for now, with obviously a sprinkle here and there in lower cap ones such as Hey and On, which is in the list. But as I said, when we get to the latter part of the cycle, maybe in the next few months we might invest in a few more of those, but for now that's the strategy due to how the market operates, and we're just going with how the market operates. So, yeah, no worries, Jason. Um, I believe it'll still come, Natalie, and it could still be just as good. I just don't think that you have the ability to park your funds anywhere and anyone can join this market and just buy what they want and they're going to make money. I still think the alt season will be just as strong, but that's why it's important to hold Ethereum. That's why it's important to hold a token like Hyperliquid. So it's important, or whatever token you believe in your own mind that you're bullish on, that's what's important to hold. I don't think you'll just be able to park your funds in anything. But once again, Natalie, it's also very hard to ascertain if it will be as greedy and as euphoric as price cycles, because you have to remember that we're still in a quantitative tightening regime where interest rates in Australia, interest rates in America, interest rates across the globe are still very, very, very high. So people's ability to borrow money, people's ability to get access to capital is restrictive right now. We don't have the same conditions as we had in every prior cycle that Bitcoin and altcoins have gone through, which from 2009 all the way up until 2022 was in quantitative easing and almost zero interest rate levels, and in some countries negative interest rates. So, and then you have the added bonus, right, of in COVID and in the last cycle where things got absolutely bananas, that everyone was getting paychecks to sit at home, research cryptocurrency, sit on their bed. Here's $1,000 check from the government. Here's $2,000 for missing work. Here's this, that. So you just got to remember and contextualize why it's different now. Understand the actual theses and fundamentals as to why it's different, and you've just got to roll with it. So, yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Um, no worries, Moose. No worries, Natalie. Jason is suspecting around rate cuts, Jason. So in coming weeks, coming months, I did believe that it would really kickstart when Ethereum broke $4,000. We briefly kind of saw it on the Ethereum outperformance in brief periods, but so far it actually is looking a lot like Bitcoin. As I mentioned before, Ethereum has a marginal buyer that has corporate treasuries, as I mentioned, such as SharpLink, many others that are buying hundreds of millions of dollars of Ethereum. And whilst my expectations are that money will, or that price action and that euphoria will eventually flow to altcoins, you need to understand that the money being put into Ethereum like price cycles won't flow to altcoins as much because of the marginal buyer that's buying it. SharpLink isn't going to rotate their profits from Ethereum into a micro cap, but the whales that used to buy up all the Ethereum price cycles did do that. So in any case, I'm hoping when Ethereum breaks all-time highs around $5,000, we get those rate cuts in a month or two. People have easy access to cash. They're more risk on just the idea of there being a more risk on environment due to rate cuts. The DXY should lower, which you have an inverse correlation with. That's when I expect there to be an alt season. Alrighty, I think I'll wrap it up there, guys. Thanks so much for coming once again, as I said. Um, as I said, please, if you're a newcomer, please, please, please try and go and read as many of these research reports as you can. Start from the bottom. So start reading about the process of accumulation dollar cost averaging. Okay, I understand that. Alrighty, I want to know how to invest using unit sizing. Okay, that's great. Okay, I want to learn how to take profit, so when the time is right, I can take profit. Okay, awesome. Alrighty, I want to actually read how Mitch understands when the top of Bitcoin is going to come in. Okay, cool. He's showing me historically how we're able to look at that. I want to go read that why Bitcoin has been, or why, well, that was actually back in January. I actually think this altcoin one is super important to read. I did this Crypto Crossroads, research article in March discussing how, it is a bit painful that Bitcoin dropped from 100 to 80,000, but is it really over? And I explained in this through multiple measures that the bottom was actually closer to the top, and explaining that we might actually get a retest of 72k, and the bottom was 74k. We bought heaps of tokens, and we bought Chainlink at $10, we bought Hyperliquid at $9, we bought Ondo at 75 cents. We bought all these tokens then, so it's really important to read these research reports, particularly when they come out at the time. I also have a really important one based on, how to approach the trading academy based on the 2 reviews you are. So please, please, please go and read these if you're new. It's going to help you out so much to navigate the service. As I said, I've got an investor course coming out too. It might interest you, which will really help you navigate the technical analysis and fundamental analysis and the macroeconomics involved in investing in not only crypto, but everything. But yeah, we'll stay in touch. No worries, Steve. Thanks for coming. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Jason. All right, we'll end it there, guys. I'll speak to you guys in the Discord. Please ask me any more questions in the Newcomers chat whenever you want, 24/7, 7 days a week. I'll get back to you on there. I'm here to help. I'm here to guide. So we don't just have to use these Q&As to go through things. I can go through anything at all with you in the Discord. So yeah, we'll speak there. Thanks everyone for coming.